What's going on, y'all? Taylor here with y'all 106.7. Today we are joined by country music singer-songwriter Mr. Rob Williford. Welcome into y'all.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
You said we're the only radio station you listen to.
Don't tell anybody else I said that.
Yeah.
But if I get in the truck and turn on FM, it is on 106.7. That is an accurate 100% fact.
You've got good taste in music.
Thank you. I think so.
Yeah. Speaking of good taste in music, your new album, Johnny and Jenny, also a short film. I just watched it.
Oh, thank you.
It was so good.
Thank you.
And I love the whole album. I would love to hear your creative process. How long did you take writing that album? I'm sure you probably wrote every song, if not on the album, huh?
I did, yeah. So wrote most of the album 2 years ago. And I had just come off the road with Luke Combs and was in sort of a burnout with co-writing in Nashville. And you and I spoke earlier about Muscle Schoals. That's become a big part of my creative journey. I got a place down there a couple years ago. I call it my Redneck Shangri-La. It's off the Tennessee River down there, and I just spent a summer kind of writing a lot by myself and a lot with just some friends and fellow creators. And it wasn't to get a pitch or a cut. It wasn't to get a song to give to somebody else. It was the first time I had really sat down and wrote from an artistic place that was 100% unfiltered, authentic.
And how about the short film? How did that idea come to life?
So the record, I never sat down with an intention to write a record. At some point, the song Johnny kind of appeared, and then at some point, Jenny kind of appeared, and the rest sort of filled the gap. But I never set out to write any sort of concept record or even have a thematic through line. It just sort of happened. So I recorded the record in December of 2023 at Fame and Muscle Schoals. Fast forward to last summer of 24, I ran into an old friend of mine named Dustin Haney. And to rewind a little bit, I met Dustin Haney when I was touring with Luke Combs in 2017. We were opening First of Three for Brantley Gilbert. And Dustin Haney was the tour photographer for Brantley. So this is where I meet him, 2017. I run into him again 7 years later. And since then, he's come off the road, and he is now directing music videos. And he's won a ton of awards, CMAs, ACMs. He works with a bunch of big-name country artists. But I bump into him at a Luke show, of all places, in Houston, Texas. And he's like, "What you been up to?" I tell him, I said, "I did this record. Do you have anybody that could help me from a creative direction standpoint?" Hoping he would just send me in the way of somebody that could do cover art because I can't draw. And he said, "Well, I've been getting into more film stuff, and I'd love to hear the record." He comes over the following week, sits down, we listen to the music. And from the jump, he kind of had the same sort of vision or the movie playing in his head that was playing in mine when we did the album. And so from that began a couple months of texting back and forth. The idea of maybe, I didn't want to do a music video. Mm-hmm. I don't have any business trying to get up in front of the microphone and hold a guitar and look sexy. Like, that's just not for me, man. And I just wanted to do something that was, one, unique and different, but two, I wanted it to be a visual companion in a way that I love great soundtracks. And whether it's even something down to like da-da in Jaws, or the Jurassic Park theme song, or John Williams' composition or score, down to like, I'm watching a show right now called The Bear, and it has just a great soundtrack. So Dustin and I kind of started kicking the can down the road of doing a short film with the characters Johnny and Jenny, and from that wrote a script.
It's so good, like I said. It's very powerful.
Thank you.
And Johnny is such a storytelling song. Jenny is such a storytelling song. But when you see the short film, it connects the two characters together.
I'm really
that was
proud
really
that we filmed it in Muscle Schoals. That was sort of a topic of conversation of it would be easy for us to shoot it here or somewhere in Middle Tennessee. And I felt that since I had written the music and recorded the music in Shoals, we should do it there. So we took 2 days. Really gave me a new appreciation for that craft, to see Dustin Haney direct and to do casting and to have, a crew of 15 people, a little mini city running around doing these 5 scenes. It gave me just, again, a deep appreciation for, I thought making a record was hard. Mm-hmm. Making a movie is nuts.
bringing that vision to life? Were you like kind of co-director? Did you get to say, hey, we should do this? Maybe
I try to stay out of the way
Yeah.
as much as possible. I got a big head and a big old ego. I try to just shut my mouth because, like, in the studio or in, like, the writing room, I feel pretty confident or comfortable, you know, because I've got the cockpit hours and that. But in this thing, man, I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. And there was maybe a couple times where I offered a suggestion or something, but for the most part, I just said, let's watch
Take it
Dustin
away.
do his magic. Yeah.
It's great. It's on YouTube. Y'all should definitely check that out. Highly recommend. My faves from the album, The Lucky One, Eden, and Shoals Creek.
Cool.
Had to write those down. What is your favorite? If you had to pick one.
Yeah, it's like having 14 kids.
Yeah.
And picking a favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite, just from an emotional place, it's too hard to pick. I love Jenny. That's where it really started opening up the narrative of the songs that preceded it. I really love Helicopters. It's like a deeply personal song for me. But you named some of my other favorites too.
They're all very storytelling, which is a lot of like the music that we play here from the 90s.
absolutely.
It, brings that to life. But speaking of Muscle Schoals, we touched on that. You started a record label there.
I did.
Tell me about that.
So to back up a little bit, I'm on the road with Luke. The year is 2020. It's March. We're in Amsterdam. And we were in Europe when the borders were closed to the U.S. for COVID. So we come home, and it started out as like 2 weeks, and then it was a month, and then, we don't know when we're going to tour again. During that time, I had watched a documentary on Muscle Schoals. And I watched this thing like 2 or 3 times. Something about it just spoke to me. Don't know what it was, but I was really fascinated by it. Around that time also, I connected with this guy that plays guitar in a band called Matchbox 20, and his name is Kyle Cook. Matchbox 20 is my favorite band of all time. I am just I love 90s country, I love 90s rock, but if I had to pick a favorite band, it's probably Matchbox or the Eagles. And so I met Kyle. We went to lunch. An hour later, we're at his studio. I'm playing like the Gibson SG he played on 3 a.m. And I'm like, 17-year-old me would just freak out right now. And I just kind of got up the nerve, and I was like, hey, man, you want to produce a record with me? He's like,
Shoot your shot.
yeah. He's like, sure. Where you want to do it?
Yeah.
And I said, he's like, Ocean Way, Blackbird. We got like world-class studios in our backyard here in Nashville. And I'm like, I want to go to Fame. I want to go to Muscle Schoals. And he's like, cool. And I didn't even think they'd let me in the door. I didn't have a record deal. I don't consider myself an artist, or I didn't at the time. And just by happenstance and cosmic universe stuff and a God thing, really, a buddy of mine knew the studio manager. I called him, and we ended up talking on the phone for like an hour. It was like my long-lost brother. And went and made a record with Kyle down there. And that was around 2021. And so that was my first experience with something. It's like I came here to Nashville when I was 16. My mom got me tickets to CMA Fest. And I remember like Dierks Bentley walking out on the thrust, and he debuted Come a Little Closer. And in that moment, with him and a guitar on a stool at the end of the thrust, I had this, call it epiphany, calling, this moment of, this is what I'm going to do. When I went to record at Fame, there was something about the room, the area, the magic, and the inspiration that I was like, I got to keep coming back here. And so 2 years later, I ended up buying a house there. I've continued to try to be a good custodian of the history and the timeless music that has been made there, but I also want to share it with other people. And so I've been doing a lot of writing down there and a lot of recording, and really I've been working on this for now 2-3 years. But this year we're launching. It's called Wildcard Productions. It is an independent label, and really I just want to attract people that maybe in the culture in which we live, where we're filled with so much noise, there's a bit of just chaotic. I mean, people release hundreds of thousands of songs a week. I want to be maybe something a little left of center that has a lightning rod in the ground a mile deep that says, this is what we make. We make art. And if it happens to be commercially successful, great. But also I need people to, it's only a 2-hour drive from here. Just come down there, exhale, do a little woo-saw, and let's open ourselves to being inspired by something. And so, I just kind of wanted to do something different. And I started this label called Wildcard Productions.
Well, it's so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Definitely some good mojo down there in Muscle
Absolutely.
Shoals.
It's in the water.
Definitely. We got to talk about your songwriting career. Luke Combs' Beautiful Crazy, that just became like one of the top streaming country songs ever.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. Forever After All, and Doin This. What was your first? Was Beautiful Crazy your first?
One number away.
One Number Away.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, that was the first one. That was really special because I was the kid that grew up reading liner notes. Like I could tell you who wrote it, who engineered on it, who produced it, who played on it, where they recorded it. And so, I was a guy that there were a couple things that I had bucket list items: play the Grand Ole Opry and have a number one song. And so getting to hear a song on the radio was just surreal for me. But that was the first one.
Play the Opry. Have you played the Opry?
I remember the date that the first time I played it with Luke was October 29th, 2016. And then he actually, a couple of years ago, did a thing where he had songwriters come and play the Opry with him. Really cool thing that he did. But I've gotten to play it with him and as a writer.
That's so special. You're going to have to get some new bucket list items now because you're just marking them off. Started a label, play the Opry, number one songs. What's maybe something else on our bucket list that we haven't achieved yet that we want to?
I would love to produce a record that has some sort of commercial success. I mean, I would love to be, when it's all said and done, somewhere in the books between Rick Hall and Rick Rubin would be a nice dream of mine. But I don't have, my goals are not so tangible these days. They're more generated in pursuing things that make me joyful, peace of mind, happiness, and overall trying to find the things in life that matter while getting the privilege of making music and art for a living. And so, yeah, there are things I want to do as far as win a Grammy. I'd love to do that. But beyond that, I feel like I'm in a very fulfilled state of my career.
I think that's a great spirit to have. Is your main instrument guitar?
It's really my only instrument.
Yeah.
I can kind of bang around on a piano or like pick up a mandolin or something. If I'm stuck, I'll pick up bass. But as far as what I can barely hang on to and play would be the guitar. I got off the boat here in 2006 and realized very quickly, in my hometown, I was a guitar player. Here, nah, not so much, man. Yeah. A songwriter that plays guitar.
Yeah. So when you're writing, is it kind of that melody that inspires you first, or is it the idea, the lyrics? What kind of steers you in the
all
right
the above?
Direction? Yeah.
I go through different creative seasons of, sometimes I'll write prose or poetry or like suss out an idea in the alphabet or words. And then sometimes it'll be a melody that'll sit in my head for, you mentioned Eden. Eden took me 7 months to write it. And when I first wrote it, it was just verses. And I couldn't figure out a chorus for months. And then one day that melody was kind of in my head. And I was like, this might work for Eden. So it could be all roads lead home. But I think the inspiration can come from an idea, a moment, a feeling, a color, an emotion, a bunch of different things.
A lot of beautiful hidden love letters on that album.
Yeah,
you're secret lover boy, Rob.
It's like I love a love song that hits the grit of love. That isn't so fairy tale, that sort of looks at like love is unconditional. And it's not necessarily a romanticism of like a Disney movie. And that's a nice frame of love. But the frame of love I've learned as I've gotten older is massive. And it encompasses a lot of deep things.
Your imagery with it is incredible.
Thank you.
So you're off the road now. Do we miss it a little? What is maybe one of the best memories that come to mind when you think about being on the road all those years?
I get this question a lot. I do not miss the road. I do miss the guys. But like I joked the other night with somebody, I'm a huge fan of Metallica. Like if Metallica came calling and they're like, we'll give you $1 million to go play 5 shows with us around the world, I'd say no. And it sounds nuts. But I literally am at such a finite place of closure with that chapter in my life, and I'm immensely grateful for it. Like, it's so surreal. I haven't even had time to process it, but I am firm in the direction that I'm heading. I don't look back on it. I don't look in the rear view and, like, have regret. I miss the guys. I miss the shit out of the guys, but I don't miss the part of just sort of living out of a suitcase and touring and getting to play in front of people. That was validation that I got and received. I'm very grateful for. But now you couldn't give me an amount of money to do it again.
Well, it sounds like you're in a really great place. And we love to ask people as they kind of look back maybe on your touring or maybe back when you came to CMA Fest. What was that in 2016 you said?
2000. The first time would have been 2004.
2004.
Yeah.
What would you tell Rob when he had that epiphany that was like, I want to do this? If you could talk to him that day, what would you tell him?
I still talk to him.
Yeah.
For sure. I talk to myself, and a lot of people would say that's like loony, and it is. It's crazy. I belong in some ward somewhere. But I try to remind myself in the current state of mindfulness of like, same way I would talk to that kid and say, follow your intuition, follow your passion and your joy. And that's always been music for me. And it's taken me, I'll use this weird analogy of I'm the old man and music is the sea. And sometimes, like right now, I just feel like I'm out in the middle of it. Don't really know what direction I'm heading, but I'm being pulled by this gravitational force. And it always gets me where I want to go. And that doesn't necessarily mean success-wise, but it does mean that like I find purpose and fulfillment in doing music. So if I could go back to 16-year-old Rob, I'd say, this is going to be brutal. This is going to be an absolute sacrifice of your time and energy and mental well-being, but it's going to be worth it. And it's going to be fine. So I tell myself that now, like I remind myself I get the opportunity to make music and art for a living. Everything else is cake.
And you're crushing it. Very excited about the new album and the new label. Congrats on everything. And what is the best way for people to keep up with you? Are you Rowdy Rob on Instagram?
Rowdy Rob 74.
All right.
I am terrible at the social medias, but if you want to get on there and find me, that's be the place to do it.
Yeah, and you're on all streaming platforms, Johnny and Jenny on YouTube. It has been such an honor hanging out with you today.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Thank you.
At my favorite radio station.
One last question. What's your favorite 90s country song?
My favorite 90s country song? Oh, my God.
Or artist?
The one that jumps off the page to me, just song-wise, is Hard Working Man by Brooks and Dunn. It just lives rent-free in my head. And I could give you a million. We'd be here all day. But something about that. If I go voice of 90s country, Alan Jackson. There's something about Alan Jackson's voice that that's country to me.
So great. Rob Williford, everybody.